The Interstellar Officer Academy's Aptitude Array had evaluated 52,098,317 recruits over the last 3,200 years. Not once had its readout been questioned. Merchant houses, life assurance syndicates, even planetary census bureaus used its output as gospel. So when the array spat out a classification nobody expected, the room went very, very still. Cadet Jonah Reyes stood near the end of a long humming line of hopefuls. Plated exoskeletons, feathered envoys, gelatinous petitioners, eyes like moons. Jonah, pale, freckled, short-cropped hair, watched the process like an ordinary civilian watching a factory line. A violet-skinned Karen stepped forward. Beep. Orbital breach specialist. A slatted appendage ZIL went next. Beep. Deep space cartographer. Each result slid from the array in the same deadpan rhythm. Behind the array's hollow surface, Registrar Heck Talvin was having a peak efficiency morning. His species prized order the way others prized art, every stamp precisely aligned, every tag in the correct column. He sipped his bitter tea, eyes flicking across streams of data. Then the array bloomed a word in letters that felt like an alarm. Deathbound. Heck froze. One of his many hearts hiccuped. The mug in his grasp toppled and shattered. The sound a small comet impact. Around him clerks sucked breath and ducked. Jonah blinked at the glowing letters, then at the machine, and finally at Heck, with the kind of blank curiosity only a human seemed to perfect. Is everything all right? Jonah asked, genuinely puzzled. Heck groped for the emergency protocol binder, an enormous volume with a binding strong enough to hold its own gravity, and turned pages in a panic. Unusual classifications, quarantine directives, deprecated threat labels. Buried deep, a header screamed at him. Deathbound. See archival record 3247 to 2007. Deprecated. Species relocated 3,312 galactic standard years ago. Note: under no circumstances should this classification appear on current arrays. Heck swallowed. The annotation beneath had been chewed away by time, or perhaps by insectal archivists. He did the only thing stress left him able to do. He wiped the readout, typed standard infantry, and slapped the next screen to green. Welcome to the Academy, Cadet Reyes. Dormitory Sigma, Block 3. Best of luck. He forced a smile that felt brittle. Jonah saluted with an easy grin and drifted down the hall, humming something that might have been an old Earth tune. Heck stared at the array, then at the ruin of his tea, and reached for the emergency ration of spirit-laced liqueur tucked behind his console. Today would be better forgotten. 3 weeks later, Instructor Maris Thorne, seasoned to a degree that made rookies feel young in the bones, lectured on survival botany. The lights in her lab threw the classroom into hard shadows. Class, she said, the plant we'll study is the scarlet fong leaf. Contact with its sap causes dermal necrosis in 2 minutes flat. The recommended standoff is... It's just like the thistles in my backyard, Jonah interrupted, hands already in his pockets. The ones my ma used for, salting in soups. A nervous ripple moved through the room. Maris's talon relaxed, then twitched. You're joking. Jonah was not. He strode forward, scaled 2 benches like they were stairs, and plucked a single blade of the scarlet fong leaf with a surgeon's casualness. Heads turned. An intercom squeaked warnings. 2 cadets fainted. One displayed a very public bout of involuntary color shift. Jonah chewed. Needs pepper. He considered it, shrugged, and walked back to his seat, the room still in a stunned hush. Medics arrived expecting triage. Instead, they found Instructor Thorne teetering on the edge of hysteria and Jonah swiping at his lip like a man tasting an under-seasoned stew. His vitals were calm, his blood levels measured. Normal, alarmingly robust. An emergency panel convened in the Academy's highest secured council chamber. Commandant Ambrose Cade, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Alara Vincel, Instructor Thorne, still trembling, and a half-dozen other officers circled a glowing table. We ran the ingestion through every scanner we have, Dr. Vincel said, voice flat with disbelief. Biologically, the cadet should have been non-functional in less than a minute. Instead, she showed the telemetry. Stress markers drop, immune response spikes beyond any recorded baseline. His physiology is unusually effective. Unusually, snapped a logistics officer. The array tagged him as Deathbound. That tag was retired 3 millennia ago. Dr. Vincel brought up a cross-reference. And there's more, she said. When I asked the cadet about his homeworld, he described conditions that would register as hostile to any known database. Predators, extreme weather, toxic flora, the whole catalog. His tone suggested normality. Commandant Cade left the table and looked out over the campus as cadets ran drills like constellations in motion. Jonah was lifting, sprinting, laughing. We either have a glitch in our classification systems, Cade said slowly, or a species we thought gone is not gone at all. Miles beneath the city-like stacks of the Galactic Archives, Archivist Emeritus Soren Quill, grizzled, manic in his delight for obscure paperwork, tapped his thermal reader and grinned like an archaeologist who'd just found a new ruin. He had been forwarded an urgent request. Pull every file on Earth and the Deathbound directive. The entries were schizophrenic. Earth appeared on 17 registries under 17 different hazard levels. Some entries called for observation. Others demanded immediate non-contact. But an ancient council memorandum sealed the mystery. The Deathbound were not exterminated. They were relocated to a planet with conditions so brutal the council assumed natural attrition would do the job. The planet's name, Earth. Decision: quarantine, relocation, monitor for 1,000 years and classify as extinct thereafter if no contact. Soren laughed out loud. They didn't kill them. They gave them a planet and then lost the paperwork. He prepared a single-note dispatch, the kind archivists reserve for when history bites back. Commandant Cade, Earth files indicate Deathbound relocation and reclassification error removed 3,312 GS years ago. Recommend immediate non-panicking containment. Cade answered the archive call with something resembling dread. How bad were they? He asked. Soren's tone was delightfully impish. Capable of surviving in any environment, adapting lightning fast, and inexplicably fond of macabre pastimes like befriending dangerous fauna. Also, pack bonding. They form fierce loyalties to things they consider family. Useful. Terrifying. Both. My advise: do not alarm. Do not alarm, Cade echoed. He stared at his reflection in the conference window as Jonah and the cadets moved beyond it. A human laughing while pushing an injured Zakar across a field as if it were nothing. Upstairs in the Academy library, Jonah found the Earth file by accident and read it with an odd, detached calm. The records told an old story, a species transplanted because it was inconvenient, not because it merited eradication. The humans had been written off as extinct, then forgotten. He closed the file and felt something like a weight lift. He looked out at his fellow cadets. So many different anatomies, so many stories of sacrifice. They'd welcomed him without an atlas of his dangers. He smiled. That smile hardened into resolve. 3 days later, a lecture hall filled with silvered officers expecting turgid exposition instead received something unexpected. Jonah at the podium, unflappable, talking about his species as a living thing. Good morning, Jonah said. His voice ran like a ribbon across the room. Today, the Deathbound, primarily their history, capabilities, and where they are now. Silence. A clutch of palms twitched. Someone quietly wished for the floor to open up and swallow them all. Jonah began calmly. Yes, our ancestors were relocated so others would not have to fear them. Over millennia we, humans, did what humans do. We got better at surviving. Everything else, resilience, improvisation, an obsessive refusal to accept impossible. Those are the side effects. He flipped slides. The charts compared physiological data to cultural tendencies. The old fear, survive at all costs, read like a caricature next to the nuance Jonah described. Pack loyalty, tenacity, ingenuity. We're not born to be warriors, he said. We're born to keep living. That makes us useful, if you want someone who won't stop trying. Dr. Vincel scrawled notes like a woman trying to keep up with discovery. Admiral Kes-Varon's jaw worked. She reviewed the exit routes in her head anyway. At the end, Jonah looked straight at Commandant Cade. I don't want a pardon or special treatment. I want to graduate. I want to serve. And yes, my species will become more present in galactic society. You can either be threatened by that, or you can prepare to do great things together." For a long breath, the assembly held the future between them. Then Cade let out a low laugh that was half relief and half disbelief. "And coffee," he said, remembering Jonah's aside earlier. Jonah grinned. "Yes. We also make coffee. It is both a stimulant and a diplomatic tool." Within hours, the tone at the academy shifted. Where hysteria and containment plans had been prepared, deliberation and structured integration took root. The council was notified discreetly. Medical and diplomatic liaisons were assigned. Protocol manuals were rewritten with a new pragmatic category: human, resilient, adaptive, pack-oriented. 6 months later, the Academy printed a new field manual: Cooperation Among Species, Practical Exercises. Chapter 7 was Jonah's smile in print, a short primer on how to work with humans, from "they often accept unreasonable risk" to "if they say it'll be fun, consider checking your insurance." Graduation day arrived like a promise fulfilled. For the first time in living memory, every cadet in Jonah's class graduated with honors. When asked about their success, Jonah shrugged and said, simple and plain, "We don't leave anyone. We don't quit." The old Aptitude array was retired and wheeled into the Academy's Museum of Instruments. A new plaque hung by its side. Aptitude Array Model 9, the last machine to assume the universe had the final say. And in a quiet file cabinet, the archives opened a fresh folder titled not with extinct warnings or quarantine codes, but with a small, practical heading: Species that improve everything by not giving up. The galaxy had been waiting thousands of years for something stubborn. It turned out stubbornness had a smile, a questionable taste in food, and a very dangerous habit of saving friends.